Girl, I'm exhausted with explaining how many jobs I have. Like, I don't even put it all down on my resume, so don't say anything. I just put on like my recent jobs. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a mukbang again with some Chinese food because I love it. So today we have chicken and broccoli with spring rolls and fried rice. It looks amazing. Of course with my Coke. So I'm going to go ahead and get right into it. So what we're going to talk about is working girl struggles. And let me tell you, has been a long journey. Me being 28 now, I've been working since I was 18. So we have 10 years of working experience and I'm over it. So let's get started. I love Chinese food. Fun fact, Chinese food is my favorite food. And I did another mukbang of this on my channel too, of eating with Chinese food too. I mean, it is my favorite food, that's why I chose it, but other ones that I'll be doing in the future. Definitely, probably change it up. Okay. I had a lot of jobs. This list is unreal, it's ridiculous. So let me start off with saying, I got my first job when I was 18. And I worked at a place called Home Goods, and it is a home decor store. That's what it is. So there's a bunch of stuff that is like home decor items and all that stuff. So that was my first job there, and I worked there for about a year and a half or so. And it's just, I don't even know what happened exactly. So I'm trying to remember, sorry, because like I told you, I wrote everything down. So with that job, I had that job for like a year and a half. Oh, okay, so my problem is being late and I think calling out or something like that. I can't remember because it was so long ago. This was back in like 2011 or something. So me working, and then I ended up getting fired from that job. But I love that job. That was my favorite first job. But don't even get me started on the other jobs that I had. Worked at all the restaurants I've worked at. Home Goods, I worked at Harbor Freight, Small Cakes Cupcake Store, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, 2 Panera Breads, Marriott Hotel, a phone service, Sears, Chase Bank, the Dunkin Donuts factory, a college, and there's so much more. It's ridiculous. So, but anyway, I've had, let me count exactly. Okay, you ready for this? It sounds ridiculous. Including the job I have now, 19 jobs. I know that sounds terrible. It's like, what? What do you mean? Can you not have a job? Don't even go there. So let me tell you why. Some of these jobs I did get fired from. Some of these jobs I quit. So, or at least your 2-week notice or whatever you say, the departure of the job. So what happened, my first job again, like I said, I did get fired because of the excessive tardiness and calling outs, I believe. So then 2 weeks later, I got lucky and I found another job. And this is mostly customer service or customer experience and stuff. So it's a lot easier for me to have gotten jobs. That's why I got so many jobs so quickly. And I worked at a tool shop called Harbor Freight. And I worked there for about a year. And then I left them 2 weeks later. I put in my 2 weeks, then I went to Panera Bread, and that was like my first time doing Panera Bread because I worked in the food industry, so I worked in the kitchen, and it was nice for a while. But then the reason why I left that job, and that was like less than like a year or something, I went to Chase Bank. So it was really fun working at Chase Bank, and unfortunately, I think I was there for like a couple months, and then I got fired from there. And then I'm like, oh, hello, Panera Bread, can I come back? So then I called Panera Bread back, because that was the job that I came from. But technically I worked at 2 different locations, so I decided to see if I decided to call back and say, oh hey, can I work for Panera Bread again? You know, because I left when I known I put in my 2 weeks. But I said, instead of the one I used to work at, can I get transferred? Only because it was just way too much of the like teenage kid, high school drama, and the he said, she said thing. And I'm like, I'm not with that. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to be involved in it. So I got transferred to another location. And then I also started in another Greek restaurant for a little bit serving, and that was my first time serving. So I worked in the food industry and I also worked in customer service, but working as a server was a different story. But to be honest, like to this day, last time I worked as a server was like 2013, but I just love it. I mean, it wasn't much because it was a part-time job. It was like a day or two working, and it was kind of cool because I got to work with my husband. So even though we weren't in the same, I was a server and he was a cook. So it was just really fun and it was cool, and I worked nights, and I think it was like 2 days a week, so like Saturday and Sunday or Friday, Saturday, I can't remember. But you know, the most busiest days, and then it was just fun, you know, get tips, and every night you go home with money and you serve people, and it, you know, it's busy and you gotta go, and the menu was pretty easy to, you know, memorize because, you know, most of it's are meals that come with like fries or a side and like a salad. Kind of like Olive Garden, how when you order something, it 9 times out of 10 it comes with either your super salad, and then you know, it makes it easier for you to memorize the menu when it comes to when you ask customer, because sometimes people don't know. Like sometimes even like when I go out to eat and I forget like what side, or if it says 2 sides, they'll remind me like, oh, you get 2 sides, or you know what you want. So I like to be that server that kind of had it down packed and read the menu and understood it, asked them, and then help them. After that job, I can't remember because it's kind of a blur, but I remember I was also doing college classes too. So I was doing like a part-time job in college classes. Oh yeah. So the new Panera Bread that I did transfer to, because I was technically doing 2 jobs. So I was doing Panera Bread. It was like a part-time job, but you know, it's like 30-hour type job. And then like I said again, on the McDonald's was like a day or two, so it was like 10 hours the max. So I was doing both of those because they were in the same location, like the same plaza. And then I guess when I worked in the kitchen in Panera Bread, the girl that worked in the kitchen just couldn't handle it or something. I don't know. I guess I was just talking. But I mean, like when you're in the kitchen, you talk. You're like, all right, get this out. 86 on this. Blah blah. You gotta go fast paced. So you can't be sensitive if I yell at you. It's not like I said, stupid, go get this. You know, you have to be like. You can't be like, hello, wake up, what are you doing? Pay attention. I didn't say anything like that. I was just like, you know, got this, get this going on the slide, blah, blah, her, you know, kind of like if you know the restaurant, if you know, you know, that's how it is, and it's busy. So, I mean, you can't really take anything to heart. She was very sensitive, and she told him the manager or whatever, or the general manager, I can't even remember, dude. And then I got a text when I went home that late day, and they were like, oh, you don't need to come in tomorrow. And I'm like, really? Okay, sure, whatever. Who tells you that you don't need to come in tomorrow when you know you're scheduled for tomorrow? I called the next day or something, and there was another manager on shift that I didn't meet yet, and I was like, hi, my name's, you know, Mikaela, and I wanted to know what my schedule is. And then she looked at him, she's like, wait, your name Mikaela? What is it? Because I don't see you on the list. I'm like, so you're slowly letting me go? So I got fired, so you didn't even tell me? So you just didn't put me on the schedule. So I'm like, okay, thanks. Called the next day, and I spoke to the other one. Something about that manager, we just didn't get along. And she's like, yeah, no, you're not on the schedule, and no, you don't work here because we decided that it's best that you aren't. I'm like, okay, I just hope you know how to run this thing. I don't care. I said whatever I want because the way it was running, it was just on another level. I'm sorry, that little girl, well, she was a little sensitive. So anyway. And I also worked at, so when I did work at Harbor Freight, I worked at McDonald's. And then unfortunately I got fired from McDonald's. And the reason why I did, because I remember I gave my sister a discount. And the girl that was working the register, she needed help, or she was a lot slower when it came to working. So she constantly asked questions. So when I jumped on the register to give my sister the discount, that's all she had to owe. And the girl kept looking off or something for a manager. And then the manager comes and he's looking at it like, and he's confused, like, you know, how did this get the discount? How did she put it in? And he comes to me, he's like, who put in that discount? I said, I did. And then he called me back and he called me back and he's like, oh, sign this, talking about that I'm getting released. I'm like, are you serious? I give my sister a discount. I could have paid that back like over some basic food. I'm like, okay, and you want to fire me? But yeah, I wasn't the only one that knew the code. His code was 000. I mean, like, who wouldn't remember that? And if you do it in front of people who don't look away, what do you expect? Change your code. I mean, like, how simple can you be? Anyway. It's kind of fun to remember, like, all the jobs that I had because it's like a blast from the past and I can't remember. And it's like, And it sounds like, girl, you have a terrible work ethic. But hey, don't judge me. But yes, my longest job from the list, other than the one I have now, because the one I have now is going on 4 years, which is amazing. That's the longest I've ever held a job. That sounds pretty sad. But hey, don't go ahead and judge me right there. But other than that, my longest job, I think, was Home Goods, which was 1.5 years. And I'm like, dude, either I don't like the place or I get fired because of being late and tardy, which I need to really work on that if I think about it. Like, if you think about my track record, it's like either you call out way too many times or, girl, you were just late. So it's like, you need to work on that. And that's what happens. So, and then again, like I said, if I put in my 2 weeks, it's because I'm going somewhere else. And usually it's for something better, or, you know, from a part-time to full-time, or for another part-time job for more hours and more pay. Of course, you know, whatever benefits you, that's what is the best. And so, my shortest job, I want to say, was working at the Cupcake Shop. I think I was there for a week. Me and this girl did not mesh. And I think I complained on her 3 times, and the guy was like, you know, I don't think it's working out. I'm like, okay, sure, take her side. But what happened is, like, the way we worked together, she was quiet and I was quiet, but the fact is that when you're working in a bakery shop, you know, everything gets dirty. So you got the whisks, the bowls, the spatulas, and big plates, and, you know, all that stuff, because we were making cupcakes and stuff. So she threw all of that in the sink, and you know when sinks pile up and stuff. So then, like, she was telling me and training me, like, oh yeah, you can do dishes, whatever. So she said alternative days, like, she'll do them, I'll do them, she'll do them, I'll do them. And then, like, for like 3 days straight, I was doing them, and then I got annoyed, and I said, I'm not gonna keep doing these dishes, because one, it irritates the skin when you know, I think it's like, you wash, you rinse, and then you sanitize. But it's like the bleach and the water and all that stuff, it's just like too much. And I was like, you know, I'm not gonna be the only one that's gonna be cleaning dishes. Like, it should be a fair job. Like she said it was gonna be alternative days. You'll clean dishes, I'll clean dishes, you know? And then I was just like, no, it's not gonna work. So then that's when I had told the manager, because I'm like, if it's not gonna get rectified with her, I'm gonna have to speak to someone that's higher than her. And it was kind of like a small firm company. And then I had told him, and then he was just like, yeah, it's just not gonna work out. And, you know, of course he kept her because she was longer, I guess more experienced. But I'm like, whatever, I guess it just wasn't meant to be. But it was just like a job that I had found, because it was like really hard to kind of not hold on to jobs, but like to try to find a job that's suitable for me. And then it was kind of hard too, because at the time me and my husband shared a car, so we had to figure out our schedules. Plus I think we were also in college, so like I think he took some nights and some days, and I mostly took nights. So with that job, I got fired, and then, like I said, the Chase Bank, I got fired, and then the other job, and then I remember when I didn't have much job or options. This is all through the years, from like starting at 2011 for my first job to today. So within a job, I was in and out of jobs and stuff, and I worked at the Dunkin Donuts factory, so it's kind of really cool working at the factory of it, but after a while, it starts to get to you. Like, if you ever worked in the food industry, you know, and it's like sometimes like the food gets to you and it gets irritating. So like working in the Dunkin Donuts factory, it was like the grease burning smell. I couldn't stand that. And even like today, like even if if I'm at somebody's house or if I'm here cooking or something, the grease gets to my eyes and they get itchy and watery, and then it's just the smell. It's just not pleasant. So I remember working there at night, and sometimes we're like really bad. Like it would be like 5 to 11. And sometimes, like, I've never worked a shift like that, but like when it comes to holidays, you know how like they decorate the donuts and stuff. So they'll work till like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning just to get it done. And it's crazy. And it's just really cool. Like I kind of did a little bit of both to figure out what I wanted to do, but it was routine. So I decided to work in the beginning. I also worked with my mother-in-law, which is pretty cool. And then we just carpool because we lived together. And I remember she was doing, it's kind of like the prepping of the donuts. So like it will go, like the dough will go through the conveyor belt. And then like, you know, it like kind of cut out the circles of the donuts. And she placed it on the other conveyor belt so it could still start cooking and stuff. And then like you'd also pull the little donuts from the holes, and those would make the munchkins. So separating that and doing that. It was really fun. And then there was also another one where it was called like decorating or something. And then I remember you had to fill the donuts, and then there's sprinkles on the donuts, and then you had to put the donuts on the thing, close it, so you have that frosting on it, so like the vanilla or chocolate or the strawberry frosting, and then you throw the sprinkles on it. But I was doing something like that. So that job, and it was a little bit stressful because it was like, it's just so much you had to do when it came to the decorating part when I did that. And then I remember coming home one day and it was just very stressful because it was just like too much, overwhelming. But then I didn't have any options or a job, so I was trying to find a job, and you know, you have to pay bills and stuff. And then I decided, I forgot, oh, so I'm kind of like going out of order, but I did leave that job for that for the bank job. So then I put in my 2 weeks at the Dunkin Donuts factory. So like another job that I did have, which was like, I don't count it, but I did write it down, was working at Cracker Barrel. So I didn't really fully work there, but I remember getting like the uniform. Technically it's not a uniform, they just give you the apron because you just gotta wear what they tell you to wear, and then you just go find the outfits and stuff. And then I remember they gave me a menu and they said study it because, you know, they served all this all day, so you have to know it, and that menu was a lot. To be honest, I think I only ate there like once or twice. I ate there like once or twice, so I don't even know the menu, and I don't really eat that food. And I think I was there for like 3 days of training or something like that. It didn't even last that long, and I was like, yeah, I'm out. I don't even know what happened. So that's like my shortest job, but I didn't really work there. I was just doing training. And then I remember I worked at Sears for a little bit, and it was just like, I was over it. You know why? Because they based your hours on how many credit cards you can sell. So like 1 week I was booming, and the second week I was not, and then they only gave me 1 day, and I'm like, I'm not driving this far. It's almost like 25 minutes out, and I was like, I'm not gonna be driving this far just to work a 5-hour shift for the week. So then I remember I was trying to figure everything out, and then I was like, oh, this is too much. And I remember just opening, and I was like counting. You're supposed to count all the drawers, and this girl was lazy because there was like 6 drawers you had to count, and I counted all of those, and she was supposed to count half of those. But she was just a lazy employee, so I'm like, whatever, I'm gonna do it, because if she does it, nobody will. So then there was another kid that came in, and after I counted 2 drawers, I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna quit. So I passed the kid and I was like, hey, I only counted those 2 drawers. You're gonna have to count those other 2 drawers because I'm leaving. And he's like, what? Like, he was so confused, and I felt kind of bad. Like, thinking about it now, I feel bad, but it's kind of funny. But I'm like, sorry, dude, I quit. So I left, and then I told him, I was like, I quit. And I just left, and that was it. Oh, and then I worked at Chick-fil-A too. It was really fun working at Chick-fil-A for about a year, but it was just unfortunate that the manager, I don't want to say it was out to get me, but it was like working at Chick-fil-A, it was difficult because I was doing college classes, and some college classes you can't take at night or at day. So I gave him my schedule, and then she'd still put me on a day for that day, and then I would get written up. And I was like, that's unfair because I gave you my schedule. You're in college classes for a few months, so it doesn't change. Like, if you go every Tuesday from 9 to 10, you're not going to be at work from 9 to 10, so don't schedule me in those hours. And she did that a couple times, I think. I can't remember because it's very vague. So I'm like, you know, instead of me getting fired, because eventually I'm going to, because I'm getting written up for things that was just neglectful, and it was just unfortunate. So I had walked in that morning, and I think I was supposed to work. I don't even know. So I told one of the managers, I was like, hey, so I just came to tell you that I quit. And she's like, what? And I was like, yeah, I quit. And you know how they always like answers and stuff, like, why, what's the matter? And I was like, no, just quit, that's it, you know, whatever. You know, it's kind of thinking about it, I should have got my free meal. But I'm like, whatever. Deuce. Job too that I worked, it was like, I don't know how you say it, but it's like logistics job, right? So if you know, you know. I worked there for about a year, and then I guess it was like so many late calls or whatever. So I was there for 10 months, I remember. The 11th month, they were like, oh, okay, Mikaela, so instead of you working in the office, you know, because I guess I wasn't liable, it was like a liability, they're like, let's move you into the warehouse because, you know, we need help. So, I mean, it was nice because I got to have like another management, which was easier, but then I was like, nah. So, of course, back on lookingforjobs.com, and then that's when I found a job at the hotel, and I was like, bet. So I decided to, I didn't put my 2 weeks in. I think I just quit, so I just quit. So I'm like, all right, deuce. So I know that sounds terrible, but I gotta do what I gotta do. And then I worked at the hotel for a couple months, and then Unfortunately, I didn't like it because it didn't occur to me for some reason. It's a 24/7, so it's like you work all day, all night, even like holidays. And then I remember working on New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, Christmas, and that was so devastating to me because, you know, you're supposed to be with family and stuff, and I had to FaceTime them. I remember everybody was together and I was over here working, and I cried because I was like, this is upsetting, you know, you're supposed to be with family. And then I left the hotel, so I put my 2 weeks in at the hotel. I really like working there, but that's when I started phone service because it was a full-time job from a part-time job. And then unfortunately with the phone service, I got laid off because the company that they worked with closed, and then they're like, okay, let's see if we can put you in another one. Then that one was coming up, and then it closed, and then I go, see if we will put you in another one. I'm like, I can't do this because I need a job, a steady job. And I remember that's when I got my first apartment, and I just signed the lease, and I'm like, dude, I need a job, you know. And then my friend at the time, she was like, oh, you can work at McDonald's with me. And I'm like, well, technically I used to work at another McDonald's, but she's like, well, this is a different one. Apply and see what happens. So I did. So I worked at another location at McDonald's and worked there for like a month or two, and then that's when I found the job that I have now, working for 4 years, full-time, much better benefits and all. And yeah, so I started at this job after working at McDonald's. So I did put my 2 weeks in at McDonald's. So most of the jobs I did put my 2 weeks in. Some of the jobs that I quit because I just didn't handle it, or like I was just like over it because things were unfair. And then like other jobs I did get fired from, mainly because of being late or calling out. So that was pretty much all my jobs. One more job that I was going to mention, I worked at a car dealership, but not as a salesperson. Kind of like as behind the scenes, where the people, kind of like the people that call you and say, oh, we're talking about your warranty. Something like that, but it wasn't like that. It was like, oh, hey, come on in with your car, see if you can re-qualify, whatever. Something like that. So I worked, it was like customer service sales, but not floor sales where I sold cars. And that was a pretty good job, but then that's the same job that I told you that I left that one to go to the job that I currently have. So it's really cool though how like you really kind of like evolve and you get better, because the job that I have now is outweighs it by far, and it's like the best job that I've had. So I'm really happy about that. So last but not least, I remember the job that I worked at was a college. I forgot, it's like a college institute where you're like there for like a year or something. So like HVAC or nursing or something like that program. As a receptionist. I love that job. I think out of all my jobs besides the one I have now, that was my favorite job, and then my first job at Home Goods. So I like working there. I was there for a year, but then I left to go to a full-time job because that was a part-time job, and the benefits and, you know, like the fee, the pay was good, but you know, you go into bigger and better things usually. But it was fun while it lasted, and I really enjoyed that job, and everybody was nice, and the day went by fast, and I just love dressing up, you know. I mean, I could do it at my job now too, but it's like I love dressing, the dress pants, nice dress shirts, skirts, heels, and then you can put makeup on and stuff like that. But other than that, I just like the receptionist job type. It's kind of like what I do now. It's just like a very organization, and I like doing that, planning, organizing, and that's like me personally. Fun fact, I'm very OCD, very organized, and I just enjoy making sure everything is neat. Okay, so I almost forgot about my fortune. Last but not least, because you can't have everything. Where would you put it all? You can't have everything. ... Where would you put it all? That's pretty interesting. Don't know where I'm going with that, but this makes me think knowledge. So, and that's pretty much it. So that was a lot of about my background about working and my struggles, but you know, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. I appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Click the little bell right next to it so you get notified every single time that I make a post. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.